Well, I promised it, and here it is, my mega analysis of Kunihiko Ikuhara's latest anime, Sarazanmai. Sorry it took so long to get this video out after the anime ended last June. There's just a lot to cover, and the summer was really busy for me. But here are regardless, so let's get started. Sarazanmai is a 2019 slice-of-life fantasy anime written and directed by Kunihiko Ikuhara and was animated by Studio Mappa.
After accidentally breaking a statue of a Kappa that serves as the guardian god of Asakusa, middle school students Kazuki and Toi are transformed into Kappas by Keppe, the prince of the Kappa kingdom. Kazuki's best friend Enta ends up getting turned into a Kappa as well by accident. They assist Keppe in collecting the dishes of hope, which fulfill the wishes of whoever possesses them. Dishes are required by collecting the Shirikodama of zombies created by Ryo and Mabu, two policemen who are agents of the Otter Empire, an empire that has been at war with the Kappa Kingdom for generations. In order to defeat the zombies, the boys must create Sarazanmai, which can only be produced when the three are united. They struggle to connect, as each time they create Sarazanmai, one of the boys' secret is revealed.
Kunihiko Ikuhara is my favorite anime director and one that I've talked about endlessly on this channel. He's a director most known for creating Revolutionary Guard Utena, Penguin Drum, and Yurikuma Arashi. He's known for having bizarre and unique anime that are usually full of themes and symbolisms that can be impossible to decipher. He has recurring art styles and character types, and what he's most known for is having queer elements, usually involving women, in his works, some of them being the best that anyone has ever seen, even though Ikuhara, as far as I'm aware, is a straight cis male. And Sarazanmai is no exception. In this video, I will be analyzing different aspects of Sarazanmai and how it relates to his other anime. The points I will be discussing are about the anime's symbolism and meaning. Like any Ikuhara anime, it will be hard to decipher most of it. I'll also be talking about the different themes that can be found in the anime. And lastly, I will talk about all the queer stuff that can be found in Sarazanmai and how it improves on some other things that Ikuhara has done. With that all said, grab a hold of your butts because I'm about to penetrate you with this mega analysis video of Sarazanmai. I am so sorry for that last line. First off, for the general audience, what are Kappa even? Well, Kappa are seen in Japan as yokai. Yokai are a class of supernatural monsters, spirits, and demons in Japanese folklore. This also includes creatures like the tanuki and the katsune.
While the earliest stories about Kappa date back as far as 720 AD, the Kappa's reputation has become in recent years something more akin to a cute mascot. Though originally they were described as fearsome man-eating creatures. They can be identified as having greenish skin, a toothy beak, webbed hands and feet, a soft shell on its back, and a bald seta on its head. They roam watery environments like rivers, ponds, and lakes to eat the flesh of people who come too close to the water's edge. Kappa used to be something to fear when one was confronted by the creature on a riverbank. Its seta is a common weak point. Humans could bow deeply in greeting and the Kappa would respond in kind, thus dumping the water from its head and weakening it. Another option is to distract the Kappa with a cucumber, its favorite food. Another thing they like to eat is the Shirikodama, and because of this, Kappa are associated with a surprising level of sexualized violence. The Shirikodama is the mythical human organ that is said to exist in the rectum, and Kappa were thought to literally reach up a human's anus to retrieve it for a snack. The organ's origin is sometimes thought to be a metaphor for the human soul, or just a legend born from seeing the distended anus of drowning victims. In Sarazanmai, the three boys have their own Shirikodama stolen by Keppe, which transforms them into Kappa. Their only chance of returning to their human forms is to connect with one another in, well, butt-related ways, and steal the Shirikodama from the zombies that the Otter Empire creates.
Now, why the real-life city of Asakusa? More specifically, the street of Kappabashi. Well, quite honestly, Kappa can be credited with the area's existence. The Kappabashi area sits near the Sundai River, which used to flood frequently into Kappabashi centuries ago. That wasn't until a citizen invested in the creation of the Shinohokawa River to outset the swelling water. Who was this man exactly? Well, he was Kaihaichi Kappaya, a literal Kappa salesman. Not the term relating to the yokai monster, but the word meaning raincoats. Local legend states that the man was assisted by a Kappa to complete the project, so the locals honored their efforts by adopting the creature as a local mascot. At nearby temples, people will leave offerings of cucumbers. Alright, so that explains the use of Kappas, but why otters? Well, otters also have a connection to yokai, sharing their name with a prankster shapeshifter, the Kawa Uso, sort of being similar to the kitsune.
They typically disguise themselves as women or children and even wear clothes, but they'll only respond to human inquiries with nonsense. In some legends, the Kawasu take on Sarin-like qualities to lure men to their death and eat them. Some regions talk of Karasu appearing as towering monks or possessing humans outright to drain their energy, and others say that the Karasu and Kappa are cousins, who enjoy a nice glass of sake. We do see some of the qualities of the Kawasu in the Outer Empire. They can shapeshift with the goal of manipulating people for their own means, usually taking on Seren-like qualities, like becoming Kazuki to manipulate Enta, or becoming Ryo to manipulate Mabu, taking the form of the people that these characters love in order to manipulate them.
But okay. I can hear you all screaming now. What the fuck does Sarazanmai even mean?
Sara on its own usually refers to a plate or dish, this connecting to kappas in the fact that the term Sara is used when describing the top of a kappa head, a plate that holds water. With the water in the Sara, the kappa can leave the riverbank and walk around. Without their Sara though, and the water contained in it, the kappa could die. The Zanmai part of the word refers to indulgence, which is the act of being so caught up in something that you lose sight of everything else. I'll talk about this more later, but almost all of the main and supporting characters feature this problem. They are so focused on what they think they need to do, that they lose sight of what's truly important to them.
Zanmai with a Z can also be seen as Zanmai with an S. The Mai part basically means something about flat objects, while the Zan part indicates three of something. Put it all together, and Sarazanmai means 3 plates, obviously referring to our 3 main Kappa boys and the plates that they hold their water on the top of their head. The plates also connect to the setting of Asakusa. The street of Kappabashi Dori in Asakusa is a big kitchen type area. The street name literally translated as Kitchen Town. It's a food-based area with, you guessed it, a lot of plates. In the end, Asakusa is home to both Kappa statues from the old legend and dishware wholesalers. Another small piece of symbolism that I think exists in Sarazanmai is that even though Ryo and Mabu now work for the Outer Empire, why are they policemen? Well, I do have a theory for that. Here in America, tension with the police are always increasing. Police use their privilege against minorities with almost no repercussions. That's just the way it is. And half the country is almost constantly against the police. In Japan, though, things are different. For one thing, almost all crime rate is much lower than in America. Incarceration is low, homicide is low, and gun-related violence is low. And since Japan is a country full of 80% of one race, Asian people obviously, there's no police using their privilege against minorities. So as far as I can tell, Japanese citizens have a relatively good relationship with police. Enough that one could easily trust a police officer when something happens, especially since police in Japan have numerous walk-in stations called a konban throughout their cities.
So Ryo and Mabu being police officers stationed in a konban allows them more access to manipulate people that they wish to extract their desires from. They get access to criminals that they turn into Kappa zombies and can persuade people to believe them, like when Ryo kidnapped Haruka.
Though again, I could be totally wrong with Japanese citizens' relationship with police, but it's a theory nonetheless.
The most prevalent recurring thing that we see in the background is the idol Sarah. This is during her morning news segment that we see on a giant billboard on one of the characters' phones. This is where Sara gives the morning news, usually things that are happening in the episode, and give that day's lucky item. If you take a selfie with that item, you'll get good luck. This is what Kazuki does every day and sends the picture of him dressed as Sarah with the item to his younger brother Haruka, which I'll get into more later. Sara is this Ikuhara's Greek chorus. A Greek chorus, when pertaining to ancient Greek plays, is a non-individualized group of performers who comment with a collected voice on the dramatic action. Sara does the same in Sarazanmai, commenting on the events of each episode in an allegory manner, whether it's reporting on recent news that happens to our character or the lucky item, which relates to one of our character's current dilemmas, the form and desire that the episode's Kappa zombie will become, or even both. This is a character that we've seen in plenty of other Ikuhara anime. In Revolution Guard Utena, it was the Shadow Players and their little skits. In Penguin Drum, it was the idol duo Double H, who did helpful hint videos on the local train. In Yuri Arashi, it was the Life Judgment Bears, Life Sexy, Life Cool, Life Beauty, that would narrate events to us as an audience, comment on scenes, and perform the Yuri Trials for our 3 main leads.
One of Ikuhara's recurring elements is the Greek chorus, and the idol Sarah is another great example of this recurring trope. When thinking about the other 3 Ikuhara anime in relation to this anime, Sarazanmai directly relates more to Penguin Drum, while Utena relates more to Yuri Arashi. The most obvious connection is unimportant background people looking like bathroom sign icons, just gliding around all important like helping the studio save money. The only way that Sarazanmai and Penguin Drum connect more than the other two is that both are real-world themes and dilemmas being taken over by fantasy elements, like with Penguin Drum and its relation to the Tokyo Sarin subway attack in 1995, while Utena and Yurikuma Arashi are a fantasy world being taken over by real-world themes and dilemmas, like how Yurikuma Arashi's main theme is about Japan's viewpoint on lesbianism and the fetishization they have surrounding it. Just a little thing that I want to talk about here, because I really do love to compare and contrast Ikuhara's main four anime, and how they relate to each other, and also differ from each other as well. Now let's move on to the themes that are presented in Sarazanmai. And this Ikuhara anime is all about connections and the secrets that we keep in order to protect these connections, not knowing that by keeping these secrets, you are actually breaking the connection that you have with others.
Each of our characters are connected to someone, which affects their actions throughout the anime. Kazuki wishes to reconnect his lost connection to his brother Haruka, Enta wishes to reconnect his lost connection to his best friend and secret crush Kazuki, Toei wishes to grow up to be able to stay connected to his more mature older brother, and Ryo wishes to reconnect with the real Mabu instead of this fake one. More on that point later. Something that's revealed about our three main characters throughout the anime is how they are connected without even realizing it. Toei was the first, loving soccer, specifically a player that he likes who always made a special pose whenever he scores a goal. When Toei lets go of his childhood innocence to try and grow up faster, he gives Kazuki his soccer bracelet, striking the pose as well. Later on, Kazuki reaches out to new student Enta as the two become their middle school soccer team's golden duel, striking the pose whenever they score a goal together. This all comes together because during the Kappa song, when they face off against the Kappa zombie, the three boys strike the pose a number of times. It's these small acts of kindness as kids that would help connect the three of them until they all finally become truly connected when they grow older. The thing that damages these connections are, once again, secrets. And our main three boys keep their secrets tucked away in the boxes that they carry around. In Kazuki's box is proof of his cross-dressing and his lies that he tells to Haruka. In Enta's box is his proof of his crush towards Kazuki. In Toi's box is proof of he and his brother's crimes. It's these secrets that keep their connection from being completely formed. These boxes of secrets stop the chain from connecting the three of them. During Sarazanmai, each of the boys, during their individual episode, gets their secret revealed to the other boys. And sure, at first these secrets getting revealed may cause temporary anger, confusion, or embarrassment, but once they actually talk about it as the anime goes on, do their connections get stronger. When Kazuki's cross-dressing secret is revealed, Enta and Toei are confused at first, but try not to think that much about it. Toei mostly because he just doesn't care, and Enta because he's Kazuki's best friend. But Kazuki, feeling filthy and dirty now, lashes out at the two of them, and most importantly, he lashes out at himself. It's only until Enta and Toei learn exactly why Kazuki is cross-dressing as Sarah does Kazuki start to come to terms with it, and Enta and Toei are then able to help Kazuki restore his and his brother's connection. When Enta's secret crush on Kazuki is revealed, just like last time, Toei doesn't care that much. Enta is terrified about what Kazuki will say, but unfortunately, Kazuki is kind of an idiot, thinking that the soccer team just forced Enta to do all those things. So Enta is all alone to figure out his own secret, causing his connection to Kazuki and Toei to sever. But thanks to the surprising help of Toei's older brother, he is able to repair that connection. When Toei's secret of killing a man to protect his older brother when he was young is revealed, it's this time that Kazuki doesn't care that much, using Toei's criminal nature to help him kidnap Seta. Enta, meanwhile, is horrified to learn about this, thinking that Kazuki should stay far away from Toei. Toei's connection with Kazuki and Enta is broken when he decides to repair the connections he wants to have with his manipulative older brother. But after his brother's death, and Kazuki and Enta help Toei break free of the Otter Empire's manipulation, and only after Toei decides to take responsibility for his actions and go to juvie, can he have a connection with Kazuki and Toei.
Sarazanmai finishes up its theme of connection by talking about how you must fight to hold on to these connections, even if they might bring you pain.
In the final episode, when the three boys work together to repair their connection that was severed by Toei having been manipulated by the Otter Empire, they are shown a possibility of their future. A future where, even though they, as the Golden Trio, go professional in soccer, their connections with each other are still breaking. Their secrets have taken a hold of them, even when they are older. So their connection is so fragile that it breaks very easily. It's painful, it hurts, and it might be too hard to handle. But our three Kappa boys understand all of that, but still want to try. They want to try to stay connected, even if it might bring them pain. And thanks to Keppe, Seta, Ryo, and Mabu, Haruka is able to come to the final conclusion of what Sarazanmai is trying to say. That in the end, connections can only remain if all parties can understand each other. Understanding is the key to connecting to others. Once the three boys are able to understand each other's happiness, sadness, and all their emotions, can they stay connected?
Connections can only be formed, remain, and be fixed from being broken by understanding everyone involved. And that is the core of Sarazanmai's main themes. Though, need we forget? That is the theme for the Kappa side of things. What about the Otter side of things? Because that's another small theme that happens during Sarazanmai that isn't as explicit as its main theme of connection. And that is the theme of love versus desire.
The Otter Empire extracts the desires from people as Dark Keppe turns them into Kappa zombies. But what's the difference between love and desire? Well, it's never clearly stated in the show, this is an Ikuhara anime after all, I believe it's something like this. By love, they mean absolute and true love. Love that is healthy and doesn't harm the other person involved. Desire, meanwhile, has the possibility to hurt the other person involved. And this desire most likely is unhealthy. This is the reason why the Otter Empire wasn't able to manipulate Haruka and extract his desire, because he only has true love towards his big brother, which is why his box has a different heart on it than all the other boxes.
This theme is also connected to each of the Kappa zombies that we see in the anime.
In the first episode, there's the cardboard zombie, who liked to steal boxes to wear over his head and run around naked. In the second episode, there's the cat zombie, who abducted cats and shaved off all their fur to make a convincing cat costume so his cat-loving girlfriend would love him. In the third episode, there's the Kisu zombie, who was a young fishmonger who was also a womanizer, and was arrested for trying to wed them and commit marriage fraud by driving them to suicide. In the fourth episode, there's the Soba zombie, who was accused of stealing the used bathwater of one of his female regulars. In the end, he wanted to make soup using that water. In the fifth episode, there's a sachet zombie, who apparently filled sachets with excrement from giant exolots. These cute, adorable things. In the seventh episode, there was the ball zombie, who stole balls all in hopes of turning into one. And finally, in the 10th episode, there's the final zombie, the Mabu zombie. Mabu willingly threw himself into the extraction vat in order to have a chance to connect with Rio one more time.
Something that each of these zombies have in common, besides the first one, is that they seem like they're not getting the love they crave from others. Some of this love definitely being weird, but they crave it nonetheless.
The cat zombie flayed a bunch of stray cats alive because he was tired of his girlfriend giving her attention to her pets rather than him. The Kisu zombie just wants to be fawned over and be loved by tons of women. The Soba zombie steals bathwater from women because he believes that food tastes better if it comes from the person he loves. The ball zombie is a masochist that wanted to turn into a ball so his girlfriend could kick him around. And finally, Mabu Zombie's entire existence is a result of a desperate last attempt to get to connect with his partner before wiping himself from existence.
And now we get to the most important part of any Ikuhara anime, the queer representation. And the ones found in Sarazanmai are just as interesting and unique as ever. Just be warned that I will be trending on lots of familiar ground with this section. I talked a lot about the queer representation in Sarazanmai in a previous video, so I apologize if there's a bit of repetition here. But anyway, many people ask me why Ikuhara has almost exclusively done gay women representation in Utena, Penguin Drum, and Yuri Arashi. Now, while I don't have a definitive answer to that, I can only speculate. One may be that in Japan, it's harder to pitch an anime that isn't exclusively yaoi or BL, geared towards straight women, that has gay male representation that is geared towards anyone. Gay women in anime are more marketable to pitch to producers for a more wide range audience than gay male love and its specific but very vocal female fanbase.
Others have previously speculated that Ikuhara just has a lower opinion of men in general, and when you take characters from Utena into account like Akio, Shionji, and Toga, Ikuhara seems to have an affection to queer masculine villainy.
Thankfully though, Ikuhara has stepped away from that trope in Sarazanmai in order to give us some great queer male characters. And we'll start these characters off with Kazuki, who isn't gay, but is a crossdresser.
We begin Kazuki's story with him carrying his box of secrets, which we later learn, as I discussed before, is full of clothes and makeup in order for him to dress up as the idol Sarah. He does this in order to reconnect with his younger brother Haruka, who got in a severe car accident which made Haruka unable to use his legs anymore, having to be confined to a wheelchair. And this accident is something that Kazuki blames himself for causing. This being after Kazuki learned that his parents adopted him after his biological mother left him behind. Haruka absolutely adores Sarah. He watches her morning program every day and has a bunch of her merchandise in his room. So Kazuki pretends to be Sarah in order to stay connected to him. This all comes to a dramatic end when at a signing with fans, Kazuki fails to impersonate Sarah at the event by having Toei kidnap the real Sarah. And Kazuki's secret is revealed in front of Haruka, exposing his lies. Thankfully though, after Kazuki and the others save Haruka from the Otter Empire and Kazuki is able to accept that Haruka's accident was in no way his fault, the two brothers are able to connect again. This ultimately leads me to conclude that Kazuki's cross-dressing was just circumstantial and not something that he personally likes to do. After his secret is revealed and he reconnects with his brother Haruka, Kazuki never dresses as Sarah again.
A little disappointing, to be honest, but I do appreciate that queer elements were used naturally in this tragic beginning and heartwarming ending of a story between two brothers. The next queer character to talk about is Enta, my beautiful, stupid, wonderful gay son.
First we see of Enta, besides being Kazuki's childhood friend, is that of Kazuki distancing himself from Enta, this all because of the whole Haruka stuff. Enta is very protective of Kazuki, especially from Toei, and wants Kazuki to remain his normal happy self again so that the two of them can play soccer and be the golden duo. Enta's crush for Kazuki started when Enta moved into town and was the loner new student in the elementary school. That is, until Kazuki offered him a friendly hand and a soccer ball, this being confirmed when Kazuki, exhausted from the events of the episode, passes out on some steps. Enta approaches him and gives him a small kiss on the lips. Yeah, not the best from a boy, but I'll get into that later. Enta often has daydreams of Kazuki being romantic towards him, like saving him from being injured or asking Enta to put on his bracelet. Enta even has a daydream where, after telling Kazuki that he loves him, Kazuki almost kisses him. All of these daydreams have one thing in common. They all feature the Kazuki he wants instead of the Kazuki that he has now. Later in the series, when Kazuki becomes more friendly with Toei and wants to use the silver plates to have Toei stay in the city instead of going off of his criminal older brother, Enta tries to sabotage the connection that the three share. He wants Kazuki all to himself so that things can go back to normal. Before Haruka's accident, before the whole Kappa thing started, Enta just wants to be the golden duo instead of the golden trio. Enta tries to sabotage this connection by trashing their practice area every day, even after the three of them cleaned it up. Not to mention that he stole the 4 silver plates that the three managed to collect. After being split up, Enta eventually comes to his senses and gives the plates back to Kazuki to make a wish for Toei, but that's exactly when Ryo and Mabu enter the picture and shoot Enta, who blocked the bullet that was aimed at Kazuki. He manages to survive in Kappa form thanks to Keppe, and they and Toei manage to work together and get the 5 plates back, bringing Enta back to life. There's even a moment where Enta is almost manipulated by the Otter Empire in disguise of seducing Kazuki, but Enta has grown up enough to know that this isn't the real Kazuki, that the Kazuki he fell for isn't the Kazuki that exists now, and trying to get Kazuki to go back to normal would do nothing but damage their relationship. So he is able to break free from the Otter Empire's manipulation, while at the same time breaking free of his unhealthy crush towards Kazuki. At the end of the anime, though he still has his connection of friendship with Kazuki, Enta has severed his romantic connection to Kazuki. He realizes that Kazuki does not feel the same way towards him, and Enta realizes that he himself has been acting really toxic, trying to force Toei out of Kazuki's life to keep him only to himself, and trying to make Kazuki into the Kazuki he imagines in the daydreams, instead of the Kazuki who has been going through some really hard shit right now, and has changed because of it. Enta comes to realize that this is really toxic behavior, and is making Kazuki more and more distant towards him, so he stops trying to pursue him, but of course, still willing to be good friends with both him and even Toei.
Enta's queerness arc is toxic, but relatable. He does bad things to Kazuki, some of them even being a little creepy, like sniffing Kazuki's clothes or kissing Kazuki when he's asleep, something that no one should ever do, even if you are a gay boy in peril. But Enta is a middle school boy with no way to process these feelings in a healthy way, and when he sees what the consequences of his actions create, he learns all that he did wrong. Enta learns the error of his ways and works to change himself to just being friends with Kazuki. He has learned about his toxic behavior and has put a stop to it, allowing him to stay close to Kazuki, even if it's not romantically. And lastly in Sarazanmai's queer characters are my anime dads, Ryo and Mabu.
As we've discussed before, Ryo and Mabu are 2 police officers working for the Otter Empire, extracting the desires of criminals in order to turn them into Kappa zombies, all in an effort to find Prince Keppe and the 5 silver plates. And as each episode goes on, we slowly get to know more and more about them. They were once members of the Kappa Kingdom until the war between the Kappa and the Otters met its climax. Mabu was caught in the blast when Prince Keppe was separated into a small Kappa form and its dark Kappa form. This seems to kill Mabu, but he's brought back to life with a heart made of machines, thanks to the Otter Empire. Ryo is grateful to have his lover back, but is disappointed to learn that this Mabu isn't exactly the same as his Mabu. Sure, he looks and sounds the same, but his expressions, his actions, just don't quite match, paralleling to Enta's feelings towards Kazuki a little bit. Both Ryo and Mabu are then manipulated individually by the Otter Empire. Mabu is forced to have continued manual checkups with a fake Ryo who is just the Otters in disguise, never allowed to tell Ryo about what's going on. At the same time, Ryo works to find Prince Keppe and steal the 5 silver plates in order to get Mabu back to normal, not knowing that this fake Mabu has always been the real Mabu. also being forced to no longer love Rio, because if he does, his mechanical heart will stop and Mabu will die. Mabu knows that nothing would be more hard for Rio than losing his love forever, even if he believes him to be fake. Having finally gotten the silver plates from Keppe, Mabu finally betrays the Otter Empire to use the wish for himself. Learning of this betrayal, the Otter Empire turns Mabu into his Kappa zombie, but Rio, now in Kappa form once again, manages to get Mabu's Shirikodama back, turning Mabu back to normal. During their Sarazanmai, Rio learns about everything that happened to Mabu, apologizing that he continued to call Mabu a fake. Mabu tells Rio that he loves him, realizing that he no longer wants Rio to think that their connections are gone. This causes Mabu to die, and in his grief, Rio tries to kill Kazuki and Enta to get the plates back again, but Toei shoots him dead. Thankfully, in the climax, when Keppe fuses back with Dark Keppe, Rio and Mabu are brought back to life and they help the boys defeat the Otter Empire and the concepts it represents. As parents from the prequel spin-off manga, they crown their daughter Sarada as princess and send her off to be married to a now fully formed Prince Keppe. And during the ending credits, we learn that Rio and Mabu has left the police officer business and have become rickshaw workers together.
Rio and Mabu's tragic backstory, character arcs, and queerness, it's just amazing. They are both flawed people, as most humans are. Mabu lies to Rio about his love and is manipulated to cheat on him with a fake Rio, and Rio becomes aggressive towards who he believes is the fake Mabu, wanting nothing more than to bring his version of Mabu back, not realizing that Mabu is still next to him, having been changed by the Kappa and Otter War. They were also being manipulated by the Otter Empire, but both decided to join back up with the Kappa Kingdom after their deaths, having finally been connected again. They reunite with their daughter and still keep their loving relationship connected. These are characters full of tragedy, but they manage to push past this to live a bright and happy future. Their love is what poisons them, but it's also what brings them back to life. That's actually something I should put out. The ending of Sarazanmai is actually a first for Ikuhara. What do I mean by this? Well, incoming spoilers for Utena, Penguin Drum, and Yurikuma Arashi, but Ikuhara has the habit of killing off his main characters in order to change the world for the future.
In Revolutionary Girl Utena sacrifices herself to end Anthi's suffering and set her free. In Penguin Drum, main characters Soma and Kanabi sacrifice themselves to save their sister and the world from their parents' terrorist organization. In Yurikuma Arashi, Kaleha is able to turn into a bear to be with Ginkgo as they go up to heaven with the goddess Kumaria, able to influence some of the human girls to no longer fear and instead befriend the bears.
Man, a lot of these anime sound weird out of context, but you see the pattern, right? The main characters sacrificing themselves in order to both save their loved ones and the world. But in the case of Sarazanmai, Ikuhara does the exact opposite. Because in this case, Ikuhara absolutely subverts his classic trope because all the characters, all of them, live in the end. That's right.
Just this once! Everybody lives!
And it's amazing how Ikuhara teases us with deaths before quickly subverting them.
Enta seems to have died from being shot by Rio, but he comes back to life in the next episode thanks to Keppe. Rio and Mabu also seem to die, but are also brought back to life when they help the boys defeat the Otter Empire. No sacrificing is done by any of the characters in the end, and yet the world is still changed for the better now that the concepts of the Otter Empire are gone.
Another thing that I want to talk about before I finally finish this video is to talk about the prequel manga that came up before the anime series aired. This manga being called Rio and Mabu. Together they are Sarazanmai. The manga follows Rio and Mabu, still working as policemen. They discover a baby lying in the street on a plate that can only speak the sound Sara. Again, dish. They care for her while searching for her parents, giving her the name Sera. Rio and Mabu encounter various comedic and absurd scenarios throughout the series, many of which are solved by Sara's intervention, who Rio and Mabu come to believe has magical powers. They eventually come to love Sera as their own daughter and hope to themselves that Sara's parents will never be found. Towards the end of the manga, Sera suddenly grows up into an adult, taking the form that we see in the anime. She thanks Rio and Mabu for being her fathers and then disappears with a man who previously showed up in an earlier manga chapter, and a being of pure light. Rio and Mabu suddenly wake up to find Sara is still a baby, as it's unclear just how much of the events of the manga were only a dream. I couldn't find any source of information that says whether or not this prequel manga is canon to the events that happened in the main anime series, but if it is, let's see how it connects. Let's say that all the events that happened in the prequel manga did actually happen, with the dream of Sera being older and leaving her fathers behind being a vision of the future.
We are shown in the anime that Sera is actually a Kappa, is looking for Prince Keppe, and reunites with him at the end in her true form to get married. This leads me to believe that Sera in the prequel manga is the lost citizen of the Kappa Kingdom, maybe even a lost princess who would in the future marry the prince. Ryu and Mabu, finding her, take her in. Seta being a Kappa might also explain how in some circumstances Ryu and Mabu believes that she has magic powers. Past the prequel manga, just like in the dream, Seta is found by a member of the Kappa Kingdom in order for her to resume her status as princess to marry Prince Keppe. And the kingdom rewards Ryu and Mabu for taking good care of their princess, and that they reward them by allowing them to live in the Kappa Kingdom with their daughter. Ryu and Mabu agree to this and become soldiers in the Kappa Kingdom's army against the Otter Empire. Evidence to support this is that Ryu and Mabu don't seem to be natural Kappa like Keppe or Seta. They can't transform at will, only being able to do so with Keppe taking out their Shiriko Dama. In the anime, Keppe wishes for Ryu and Mabu to join him again, and sing the song that they always sung together. This ending up being the same song that the three boys sing when they fight off against the Kappa zombie. Getting back on track, in the climactic battle between the Kappa Kingdom and the Otter Empire, Prince Keppe is split into two halves, one of them being his dark side. The explosion and the tower collapsing because of this ends up almost killing Mabu. Then the events of the anime happen as Ryu and Mabu are manipulated by the Otter Empire, are killed off individually, brought back to life to help the boys defeat the Otter Empire and the concept that defined them, and then reunite with their daughter to crown her as princess to be married to Prince Keppe. Though this time, they decide to stay in the human world again, this time working as rickshaw drivers. The only thing in the anime that breaks this theory a little bit is the fact that when Keppe, along with Sarah, find Ryu and Mabu for the first time, Seta has no reaction to seeing her fathers again, or in the fact that they are being manipulated by the Otter Empire. The only time we see the three together is in the last episode. That's it. Seta is a bit of an airhead at times, but I think she would react to seeing her two dads again for the first time in a while.
That's the only detail that kind of breaks my theory, but it's a theory that I strongly report, connecting the prequel manga to the main TV anime series. Alright, everyone watching. That's everything I've got to talk about in my dissection of Sarazanmai. And trust me, there is a lot of stuff that I could talk about, like the very subtle themes of capitalism in the anime and an analysis of the Kappa song and the Otter song. Honestly, this video has gone on long enough, and I'm really tired. So let's wrap all this up, alright? Sarazanmai is another ambitious, interesting, creative, unique, and yet somehow weirdest project that Kunihiko Ikuhara has ever done. It has symbolism of the yokai creatures of the Kappa, the real-life city of Kasakusa, Otters, and the title Sarazanmai itself. It has themes of connection, secrets, and the difference between desire and love. And it has queer characters and elements, including Kazuki's cross-dressing, Enta's unrequited love, and Ryo Mabu's relationship. Top that off with great animation, great songs and music, great writing, and the most balls-to-the-wall insane that Ikuhara has ever been, and, well, that's saying a lot, and you have another Ikuhara hit. If I can be critical for a bit, though, there are a few problems that I have with Sarazanmai, which I only point out because I love it so much.
One is that the anime has a bit of a rushed second half, maybe needing one or two more episodes to feel more solid and better paced. And there are a few subplots that were dropped as the anime went on, including Enta's older sister losing her memories of her boyfriend who ended up as a Kitsu zombie, Kazuki's cross-dressing is dropped immediately after his connection with Haruki is repaired, and Seta becomes a little bit of an afterthought in the second half.
But again, I only point these problems out because I love Sarazanmai so goddamn much. Now that I have completely absorbed this Ikuhara anime into my system like these other three, you may be wondering how I would personally rank them all. From favorite to least favorite, it goes Revolutionary Guard Utena, Yuri Arashi, Sarazanmai, and then Penguin Drum way at the bottom. Yeah, sorry guys, I still can't get into that anime. Kunihiko Ikuhara remains as one of my favorite anime directors, and Sarazanmai was another great work of his, making me eagerly hope that he makes another bizarre and creative anime for me to dissect.